Welcome back to the Pitch Pod, everyone. I am Jeff Stebbins. Joined alongside me is my co-host, Joe Janner. Joe, how you doing today?
Jeff, I'm doing well. I'm really excited to be here. I know we're so pumped up about what the Champions League offerings have not only presented thus far, but what they will continue, namely Group F, looking at this upcoming Dortmund versus Newcastle match. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, right? I think in the previous Champions League match, there was a whole bunch of disgruntled Newcastle fans feeling that they should have won the game, and they were in it the whole time, but just couldn't finish, and that's a problem when you're playing a team like Dortmund. So here we are. We're looking at that matchup again, except reverse fixture. We got Dortmund at home taking on Newcastle. It's going to be a great game. And just a reminder to those out there that maybe missed the game or forgot the result of the last one between these two, Dortmund ended up winning 1-0 in that away match against Newcastle. So, Joe, what are some initial thoughts you have heading into this matchup of Group F, the Group F of the Champions League?
I think it's a big matchup in the sense that they're both level on points. And now that they've each respectively played everybody through, and now this is all the reverse fixtures, as you mentioned, to see how they do in a different setting, to see how Newcastle, with continued performances that have been good in both league and other competitions, to see now, are they the side that could find their way into these top two to move on past this group? I don't know that a whole lot had favored them as being there. I think PSG at the top has been one that most people saw to go through for sure. And then the remaining three, I wonder how much of the conversation, I think though now, and I think this match is going to, not only on the points, but also the means the way they go about the performance is going to really show people what this side is about and what they're capable of doing. So I think it's going to be a good match.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate, Newcastle did struggle in the last Champions League match against Dortmund, but beyond that, besides that, they've had a heck of a season thus far in the EPL and some of their other leagues that they're involved in. So they're looking strong for whatever reason. I don't know if you caught anything specific, Joe, or it's just a matter of unlucky touches, but in their last match with them being unable to finish. But outside of that, I haven't noticed any huge problems within the squad. In fact, they've been looking pretty strong outside of that one match. Was there anything that you noticed that they were doing either strategically or just not getting the touches that they normally would? What happened with that last matchup?
I think more so the focus is on what they do and what they do when they are on point. And that is, they make it very difficult for the opposition to really build up and to score against them. And then when they do have the ball, they are not necessarily always the most keen to possess and have a rhythm and a tempo about themselves, but they do find their way to be able to play through the thirds. They do create opportunities and chances. And like you said, but though, if those chances come about and you don't finish, then you are going to end up in having results like that were in the last match. So I think for them, you have key players, you have a squad, you have even players that can come off the bench that don't feature regularly that can contribute and be a good performances in this match. I think that will be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams are strong. I think we mentioned that right now Dortmund's fourth in the Bundesliga and Newcastle's still competing in EPL. But outside of, these teams and their two strengths and what they have to offer, what should we be looking for from each manager's strategy? It would like BVB maybe not being as offensively and attack heavy as some of the other teams in the Champions League. Are they going to be looking to counter, or are they coming out, do you think, in a more defensive lineup versus how Newcastle might come out? What can we expect to see in this upcoming matchup, knowing that Dortmund won the first one away 1-0? So this is a lot of pressure on Newcastle. What can we expect to see in this one, do you think, Joe?
Well, I think you'll have a Dortmund side that will be okay and being able to possess the ball and be able to look at that as a means to control the game. So being efficient, being effective, not having as many mistakes as they could possibly have. And again, Newcastle's side is going to look to capitalize on those. So I think it's the efficiency, it's the means in which they go about to possess. I think it's being keen to have a good understanding of what they have against them. And again, a Newcastle side that's well prepared, both defensively, a really well balanced side. So it's going to have to be a team effort. It's going to have to be a lot of players that are going to be able to contribute to this in order to get another win. And then on the other side, Newcastle, I think really, like we talked about, when they have those chances, they got to score.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And before we head into our predictions, I do want to just throw out there what I've been hearing, Joe, in the news, unconfirmed at this point. But apparently, Dortmund has had a couple injuries and some questionable players, whether or not they'll be ready for this matchup or Der Klassiker for that matter, and Kahn and Wolf. And that could be a decision changer for a lot of people, including myself, and how we predict how this team's going to perform. So I just want to throw that out there, and in case you forgot or the fans out there wanted to know on, the current form of BVB, there have been a couple players that have been listed as questionable in the different media outlets right now. So whether or not that's accurate, I don't know, but I just want to throw that out there as a possibility which could impact the match.
And I think you mentioned another aspect, the fact that they are in a huge Bundesliga match prior to this, how the manager will make sure to be thoughtful and mindful of that. Obviously, it's one match at a time, and they have an outcome that they would like to get from that, but then also with their eyes on this. It's always that challenging aspect of putting the focus on the match, but also knowing what looms ahead. Now, I really think that plays into Newcastle's favor, the fact that they have a really, really tough league match prior to this.
It's a quick turnaround.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I think I'm ready for my prediction. Do you want to go ahead and take the lead on this one?
Well, sure. I think I've almost said it in a sense. I mean, I don't know that Newcastle, I feel like the vibe and the identity and the feel of what they have, I don't think they would just be okay going into this thinking, if we get a draw, we're fine. I think that it's going to be had talked about it before, a really open match in the sense that it could favor either one. And I think just Newcastle is a stronger side, more up for this. Even then again, they're traveling, which is a huge challenge for them. But I do see them be able to get by. I mean, maybe just by the narrowest of margins in the sense of how it went back from the reverse picture. Maybe it's just a Newcastle just somehow getting the one, just keeping Dortmund from scoring and winning this 1-0. Newcastle wins this 1-0.
Okay, I could definitely see that happening. That is definitely a possibility, and I do think when both teams are operating at their best in top form, I do think Newcastle is probably the better team. Having said that, I think that at the moment BVB is playing well. I think that those injuries are a little bit too cautious. I think those players are going to be just fine and able to contribute. BVB's got a lot of talent. Gio Reyna, the American, being one of them, a great facilitator. So keeping all those things in mind, I'm going to go a little bit different direction than you, Joe, even though I understand where you're coming from. I'm going to go BVB ends up winning this one 1-0 as well.
Okay, so it sounds like it could go either way. Intriguing match to get into and something to be excited about for everybody.
It could. And this could even end in a draw, right? BVB is kind of known to be the draw machine this year, right? I don't know how many ties they've gotten in Bundesliga or Champions League, but, they're tough competitors. So if they don't win, then I would count on them getting a draw as opposed to losing this one personally. But I'm going to have them win this, and then just by the narrowest of margins, I have them win this one 1-0.
Okay.
So, well, Joe, it's going to be fun. You're going to watch the game this upcoming week. Are you excited for it?
Definitely excited to see how this turns out. Again, just where we are within, now, like I said before, the 3 games in, now they're into the reverse fixture. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody else is looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great. So Anyways, hopefully everyone gets a chance to tune in and enjoy the game. And until next time, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what we bring you here at the Pitch Pod, please do us a favor, hit that like and that subscribe. Don't forget, we're available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Thank you, everyone, and keep pitching out there.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.